Hey guys, this is Six of the Universe here, and today we're going to be talking about a topic that is on everyone's mind. It's been on everyone's mind since last year, and the reason I want to get this video out right now is because, well, I am working on the Doc Rivers video. The issue is I hate the editing process. Like, I got the clips, I can watch through it, give my thoughts. The editing process is such a pain, you know, to get the voiceover just right, to get it to the point where it cuts off the right way. Sorry about that, I'm in my bedroom and the sun is going in and out of the window. But the editing process is so annoying to me that I end up quitting on it and back on it and just... So for now, to get myself into it, I just want to record myself, my voice, whatever, on a particular topic that is interesting to the fan base. And what everyone wonders about is, why on earth did we sign Al Horford? I want to discuss that because I have answers. Why did the Sixers sign Al Horford? Elton Brand gave some hints. Alright, the number one reason that they wanted to sign Al Horford is that they thought that you could just slide Tobias to the 3. But if you slide Tobias to the 3, then what about that 4th spot? There was a very particular type of player that they wanted at the 4th spot that they thought that Al Horford could fill. They wanted a 3-point shooter at the 4th spot. Obviously, to spread the floor for our 6'10 Jack-a-box. Let's call it what it is, a Jack-a-box. Does everything, doesn't do anything particularly well, but does everything. The issue with that is that Al Horford, even though his 3-point percentage is close to what you want it to be, Al Horford is not a standalone shooter. I talked about this previously. There are differences between a rhythm shooter and a spot-up shooter. Tobias, Carmelo Anthony actually had a great topic about this on the JJ Reddit podcast, where the Rockets also asked Carmelo Anthony to do it, and Anthony was like, "No, that's not my game, dog. Yeah, I can shoot the free-ball, but I can't shoot it by just waiting for James Harden or Russell Westbrook to just throw it to me. That's not who I am." And that wasn't actually being selfish. There is a rhythm to it for players on the court. You need to touch the ball to feel hot sometimes. And then there are those other dudes, the Kyle Korvers, who can just shoot the ball, whether you give it to them a number of times or whether you don't give it to them a number of times. These two type of players are very, very different. In the case of Al Horford, he needs to run, pick a pop. He needs to roll. He needs to get in that 18-foot spot. That's what he was successful for literally 11 years in the NBA, including with the Atlanta Hawks. Why Elton Brand looked at Al Horford like he was David Bertans is because of Al Horford's defense. They wanted to have a 3-point shooter who could defend as well. Essentially, think of Serge Ibaka way back in the Oklahoma City Thunder years. Not his years now at Toronto, where he's basically near retirement. What Serge Ibaka was as a young piece of the Thunder team, that's what the Sixers were looking for at power forward. They're basically looking for a two-way power forward that can shoot the ball. It's hard as hell to find. It's not around the league, and Al Horford was the closest thing to it on paper, but not in reality. So that's one of the major reasons that they wanted to do it. The other reason is that, you know, like DJ said, Ben Simmons keeps getting us with these Instagrams, you know, kind of stuff, and they got Brett Brown and Elton Brand to bite and say, "Ooh, Ben is finally going to become a 3-point shooter." Maybe not the most accurate 3-point shooter, but a 3-point shooter who got the respect, and so the floors are going to be clogged up anymore. So maybe you can get 2 big men in the paint if you got 3 people on the outside, including a Ben Simmons. Not so much. Which then gets back to Ben's selfishness, yada yada yada. but the truth is, you just have to accept it. I'm with DJ on this 200%. You have to accept this at this point. This is 4 years in the league. What makes us think that this guy overnight is going to decide I need to incorporate this into my game? Doc can try, but the fact of the matter is this is Ben's decision. And if Ben doesn't want to do it, we might just have to accept 18, 8, and 8 for the foreseeable future. That might just be his peak. That might just be where he is. And can you win with that? I guess. Can you win with that as a top 2 option? Probably not. And that's actually the biggest issue facing the Sixers team right now. Tobias Harris, he is a spread power forward. I want to move Ben Simmons to small forward. So basically you have a front court. Your front court is set as far as the starting lineup is concerned. You have your center in Joel Embiid. You have your power forward in Tobias Harris. And you have a small forward in Ben Simmons, where LeBron James played for over a decade. It's time to make Ben Simmons a small forward. It is what he is. He's not a 1. You can't have Ben Simmons bringing the ball up the middle because he doesn't have that dribble drive game. He doesn't have that ability to attack off the catch, which is depressing when you think about it. Every guard, even John Morant, can attack off the dribble. Ben Simmons, not so much. So when you take a look at what Ben Simmons is, he's a ball-handling big dude, but he's not a guard. He'll never be a guard. He can't play that role for me. He doesn't have the skill set to be a guard. Yes, he can pass. He has the 8 assists. The point guard position is more than that. Brevin Knight got 9 assists, okay? So if we're really putting the ball low, and that's really putting the ball low, you can get assists and call yourself a point guard. That's not a point guard. A point guard is somebody who can move the ball on offense. And in today's NBA, particularly, it is somebody who can attack off the dribble. A point guard who can't attack off the dribble is like a wide receiver who only has 1 route tree. Great. Super. No, not really. Ben Simmons is an above average point guard right now. And that is a criticism. He is above average. He's not a good point guard. He's not a great point guard. He's slightly above average. You're not going to win a championship with that. I said that he could be one of the best power forwards of all time, and he can be if he wants to be physical about it, set hard screens, but then you have to trade Tobias, because although Doc called him a big 3, we saw Tobias at 3 exclusively. Offensively, actually defensively, Tobias did pretty well. Offensively was the issue. Tobias doesn't have the foot speed and quickness to attack on the dribble or other forwards. On big men, on the other hand, is a better situation for Tobias. So, to me, I feel like Tobias is very strictly a power forward. Now, I haven't seen him in the Doc Rivers offense, and Doc Rivers obviously got the best out of him, so maybe Doc Rivers can re-convince me on Tobias small forward. But if me and Doc were sitting at a cafe right now, I'd be like, Doc, with all due respect, I see Tobias as strictly and only a 4. I don't think he can play 3. I went through a whole year of seeing him try to take someone off the dribble from the triple post threat, and either he didn't, or he would hold the ball, or he would jack up some shot. I truly feel he's a power forward. In today's NBA, 6'9", 240, he's a very physical player. He can grab a lot of rebounds. He's like a super Robert Covington who could attack off the dribble on 4s. That's what he is. He's a power forward. Tobias Harris is a power forward. A very good one. One of the best power forwards in the league when he was with the Clippers. I thought we just acquired, this was my part of the trade deadline. It was amazing. We had Jimmy Butler, a small forward. We had Tobias Harris, a power forward. And it's like, oh my God, you have one of the most stud, talented lineups in the NBA. If we had run it back, we would have won the time. If we won it back, we would have beat the Lakers. I guarantee you, if we ran it back, we would have beat that Laker team. If we ran it back, we would have beat that Laker team. Because we had the athleticism to match him on the pick and roll, and we had the ability to create a dribble on our bench. You really thought that team of Ranjan Rondo, Kendrick Catterall Pope, and God knows what else would have beat that team? No. If we were able to run it back, we would have won the title next year. I have no doubt in my mind. Which is all the more frustrating. But like I said, it's a redemption year. This ownership now has the challenge of, see, this is the big issue with the Sixers roster. Al Horford signing does more than, oh, you got too many big men. Al Horford signing is $27 million that you could have used somewhere else. You could have used it on a buddy. You could have used it on anyone. You could have signed a couple of role players. You could have signed players to make your bench better. Because the Al Horford contract has so little utility, you now have holes everywhere else. Thank God you got Shake Milton on a long-term $1 million a year deal. Because he's your only guard on the roster. And he's a very young, talented prospect. I'm looking forward to seeing him develop. But if not for that, it's a mess. This roster is miserably constructed. Matisse Thybulle is Tony Allen. I mean, he's the guy that's only going to give you 10, 15 minutes a night for the foreseeable future of his career. It is what it is. He's a very likable kid. He's a defensive stud. But his offensive game is so low right now that realistically he's Tony Allen, and we don't have enough offensive players to put him in the starting lineup. That's why when Brett Brown was putting Matisse Thybulle on the starting lineup, that's it. The only one quote-unquote adjustment. If not Al Horford, I'm going to go with Matisse Thybulle. Dude, you can't start Matisse because you need 4 dudes around Matisse. You need 4 dudes around Matisse Thybulle. It's a similar situation with Ben Simmons. Everyone talks about build around Ben Simmons. You can't build around a guy who can't attack off the dribble. So what do? Well, what everyone suggests to do. Put 4 shooters. And these 4 shooters, unless we want to go back to J.J. Redick, and Marco Bellinelli, where you can't attack off the dribble, these 4 shooters have to be able to attack off the dribble and create space so that you don't have the wall forming around Ben. That's the problem the Bucks have now. You have Eric Bledsoe, Chris Middleton. None of these guys, well, Middleton showed you something toward the end of the bubble, but mostly these guys can't really create for themselves, not at a high enough level anyway, where it makes a difference, where it's like, oh, we can rest Giannis, and these guys can carry themselves. That's why it's hard as hell to build that way. And if you do build that way, you might not have enough, really? Think about it. While LeBron James does have these spot-up shooters, LeBron James also says, Anthony Davis, come here. Chris Bosh, Dwayne Wade, come here. You need more than shooters. And the big difference between LeBron and Ben and Giannis is that LeBron has incorporated a 3-point shot, and even before that, LeBron James had an 18-foot jump shot, and he could get to where he wanted on the court. Ben and Giannis, not so much. So until Ben and Giannis both, the Sixers and Bucks fan base in the same situation, until one of these players develops a half-court game worth a damn, you're not going to be able to successfully build around them. And Giannis is a way better Ben, so let's just be honest there. But the same weakness applies. Until you're able to attack or dribble, your offense is necessarily limited. Buttonholes admitted it. It's limited. It's honestly limited until these guys develop it. And maybe on a larger scale, maybe 6'10" ball handlers might not be the NBA's future, but an NBA, and normally that you would I would try to coach them out of it. It's like, okay, be a great cutter, like J.J. Redick said, be a great cutter, be a postman, but you're not a ball handler, because you can't attack off the dribble. It might just be something that is an unnecessary skill. You know what I call it? It might just be unnecessary to be a 6'10 ball handler, but you can be a 6'10 post player or a 6'10 shooter, but a 6'10 ball handler might be something that's rich and cute and great for NBA 2K, but it just doesn't have the application in the real NBA world as something that's truly defining, game-changing when it comes to actually winning in the playoffs. So I just had to go on that, because the whole thing is interwoven. The mistake that Al Horford could be a dead with Ben Simmons with defense, and Ben's own limitations defining the 6th team, it all just adds together. And the fact that he's going to be making $28 million this season. Ben Simmons is being paid $28 million to give you 18, 8, and 8. It's not good enough anymore, Ben. With your contract extension, you are no longer a rookie. You are now an NBA veteran with a contract that I think you're overpaid for. It's time to produce. It's time to produce. I don't care about you, sir. You're 6'10". You're 8 rebounds a game. Average. He's 6'10", guys. For all the same reasons, like a 6'10 guard. He's also a 6'10 dude on the court. 8 rebounds. Andre Drummond gets 13. Does he have to be Andre Drummond? No. But can you at least inch closer to 10? Can you at least be more physical on the boards? Even be more physical defensively on the interior. If people think of you as a 5, you're not. You can't protect the paint worth shit. But I also think it might partially be due to effort. So all these little things that Ben can do to make himself better, which is necessary, because we're no longer at the point where 15, 8, and 8, 16, 8, and 8, etc. is acceptable. It's a pretty cute stat line. It ain't doing shit for anybody. We need more out of Ben. If he's going to be paid $29 million, we need a hell of a lot more out of Ben Simmons than what we're getting. I mean, it's just a fact. Somebody say the same thing could be said for Tobias. Absolutely. Tobias needs to be a 27-point scorer. You need both Ben and Tobias to be a hell of a lot better than what they were last year for this miserably constructed roster to make any sense. Can they do it? Can Dr. get it out of them? I don't know. I feel like more realistically, you're probably going to have to blow it up. Realistically. Tobias probably going to have to go. Ben is probably going to have to go. Not this offseason, but next offseason. Joel Embiid is a 7'2", 267. If you do trade Joel, he's going to win a championship somewhere else. I have no confidence that Ben wins the title at all where he is right now. Ben has shown me that he has evolved past his 15, 8, and 8 level that he's been at since a rookie, literally 3 years ago. It's time for Ben Simmons to play up to his contract. He's going to have to play up to the contract extension. He's making $29 million this year. I need at least 22 a night. If you can't give me that, I'm looking at trading you in the offseason, next offseason, because I can't do it anymore. I know if I put, literally, I said it, if you trade Ben Simmons for James Harden, and I put James Harden with Joel Embiid, I am an NBA Finals contender. But it doesn't have to be as big as Harden. I can literally put Joel with any above average guard, and I can space the floor. I'm done with it, Ben. The utility, the rebounds, even your it's all great. You're a tremendous role player, Ben. But you're being paid $29 million. That's not good enough anymore. If we're serious about winning a championship, we need Ben Simmons to be a much better player than what he currently is. He can't be a third option and pay $29 million. This is a do or die for that duo. But not so much for Joel. It's Ben. If Ben is still at a 15, 16 a game level, and we're not winning 55 games, 60 games, it's over. I'm done with it. Because it's a cute, little, rich, normally thinks 6'10" ball handler, really cute, NBA 2K cute. It just might not win a championship. So that's my rant on Al Horford, the roster, why it is what it is, why we need Ben and Tobias. We need both of them. I do need more out of Tobias. I'm not gonna lie. But the thing is, we know that Tobias Harris can be a better power forward. We need Ben to step up more than Tobias. We need Ben to play up to this contract. Because we drafted Ben, we should have developed Ben, and Ben himself should develop himself to be a much better player. The expectation is there for Ben because people thought he was going to be this great, he was going to be this next LeBron. Not even close. It's time for him to show us whether or not. You see, I said jack of all trades, third option, solid player, and everyone still thinks he's this great dude that could do everything, quote unquote Stephen A. Smith. No, that's not even close. He's 6'10", and he can ball handle, and he can attack because he's bigger than everyone else, and he rebounds. He has a very limited skill set to me. It's time for him to show which one of us is right. Does he have a limited skill set that should not be paid anywhere close to $29 million? Or is he going to play up to his contract? That's what we need to see out of Ben Simmons. This is 60 Universe, signing off.